This is Perspectivas Latinas, a community service of CAN TV. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. The Chicago Bilingual Nurse Consortium helps people who were nurses in other countries become nurses here in Illinois. Today's guests are here to talk about this work and how they support these individuals. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for having us.
Let's start off by talking to each of you individually about your background and how you came to this organization. Paula, Schipiour,
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you so much for having us. I've been with the association now for about a year, and I am the associate director as well as an instructor for the Chicago Bilingual Nurse Consortium, and came to the association through a friend of mine, Mary Liebold, who was our former executive director. She just retired. And I have my master's in nursing, and I enjoy teaching and working with students, and I have a special love of our international nurses.
Great,
So I'm
great. Well,
very happy to be here.
thanks. Our next guest, Elsie Hernandez. Thank you so much for joining us. Same question, background, and you actually came through the programs of...
No, actually, I'm originally from Haiti.
Okay.
I came out a small child.
Oh, you came as a small
Right.
child.
My family immigrated to New York, so
Okay.
I did all my schooling in New York, including nursing. I came to the Chicago Bilingual Nurse Consortium because I had lots of interest in languages, because I have a degree in languages and women's languages, and I also
In Romance languages?
Yes.
Well, French, Spanish,
French,
Italian?
Spanish, yeah. So,
Wow.
so I also have a master's in public health. So I was looking for some organization that will use all of these skills that I have, and also I lived in Mexico for years. So
Where in Mexico? I'm curious.
Cuernavaca.
Oh,
Cuernavaca.
nice town.
El estado de Morelos.
Mhm.
So I lived there for a while. So my last name is for my husband, of course, Mexican. So I'm multicultural, multilingual, whatever, speak various languages. So I wanted to put all that together, my professional as well as my skills, my travel skills. And I looked, it came upon me, they advertised the position as a program director.
Excuse me.
And I applied and got the job 7 years ago. And
Wow.
I love what I do because I love speaking languages. I love speaking with people with different cultures. I'm totally culturally sensitive to other people. So I love what I do. So basically, I've been there for 7 years.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a great story. It sounds like it could be a book.
Yes, it could be a book.
And our final guest today, last but not least, Susana Gonzalez. Thanks for
Yes.
coming. I finally got you here. I've been hassling you for a while.
Yes, I know. Well, I was born and raised here in Chicago, and I am of Puerto Rican parents. I got on the board of the Chicago Bilingual Nurse Consortium throughout the last decade, the last 10 years, because it's very dear to what we want to do in life, which is to serve Hispanic nurses, to find them, to nurture them, to value them, and to get them through any of the maze that they need to have. I'm also the president of the Illinois Hispanic Nurses, which is a chapter of the National Association of Hispanic Nurses, and that's one of the avenues that we've been trying to connect with, because you know, that encompasses a lot of nationwide nurses that also have the passion to want to seek avenues to help diversify the healthcare needs of our nations, and to help them get the needs that they have met.
Okay, great. Wow, you guys have this very lengthy experience in your professions, and some that, well, like Elsie, I'm just really impressed with that story of languages and then coming into nursing to combine this passion and love for language and culture and service. But this organization in itself, how did it start, the Chicago Bilingual Nurse Consortium? Because
I could tell you a little bit.
Sure.
I know that I always say back in the day, but really it was in the mid-'80s. You know, through the efforts of one of our founders, Carmen Velasquez, over at Alivio Medical Center, and through Mary Liebold, you know, there was always this passion of where are the bilingual, bicultural nurses? Do they exist? You know, and we're here. I have a couple masters, and yes, we do seek to go to school, and we do want to serve in healthcare. So there was a discussion that maybe we need to find them and find if they're here through internationally educated networks. So in the 80s, we did a little call, just a couple of announcements, a couple PSAs, a couple flyers, and said, ¿Dónde están? Do you need help? Is there something that we, the Chicago Bilingual Nurse Consortium, and you know, can help you with? So it was focused on the Mexican Nurse Initiative. We just thought we needed to help the Mexican nurse that was having all these issues. But on a particular day, on a particular Saturday, they just came. They just came in hundreds.
And this was, you told me before the show, this was at what, formerly known as Westside
Se
Tech.
llamaba, Westside Tech Institute. You know, today it's, you know, Arturo Velázquez Center, but Westside Tech, they came in hundreds. And we were like so unprepared because we thought it was going to be a plática. We thought a few, you know, Mexican nurses would show up or a few bilingual nurses, but they were bilingual international. It was internacional.
Okay, and tell me, by international, you mean from the Americas or all over the world?
All over the world,
All over.
from Poland,
Yes.
Haiti, you name it.
Albania.
What about we just graduated?
Actually, right now we have 66 countries.
66 countries.
66 countries in our database.
Yep.
We just
had our-
graduated 600
So far.
individuals,
Individuals,
right?
yeah.
No, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet.
Not
Pretty
quite
close.
yet, but
Yeah.
pretty close.
Paula?
But basically, we just recently had our fundraiser on October 10th, and to see all of the flags, and we had just decorated with all of the countries, and then our students were, you know, carrying their flags around and
That was
and it
awesome.
was really, really wonderful to look at all those internationally educated nurses come together, and they all have that commonality of, you know, being part of wanting to be part of the workforce in the United States. They want to be able to help people to communicate effectively, you know, and that's really what we need. We need more of bilingual nurses to help our patients.
Okay, so that's a bit of history. This was in the 80s, and when did you become a formal organization then?
Actually, in 2000 plus, I think in 2002, we actually did a SWOT, did a revision of the mission statement to help all bilingual, bicultural nurses that are seeking IENs, all internationally educated nurses, but still not lose the identity and the emphasis that our mission and our vision was to help that bilingual English, Spanish speaking nurse that we really want to emphasize. That's where we totally feel underrepresented. You know, when you look at the numbers of the nation, when you look at the numbers in this state, and you go into healthcare settings and you only see a small portion of individuals that sound like or look like the culture that's being represented or healed, then we really fall short. And that's still our mission and vision.
That's
and
still
purpose.
one of the
Main goals.
Yeah, the main goals where you put the emphasis, a lot of the emphasis of your work. So 2002 here, and you broadened, and obviously, like you said, 66 countries, individuals from 66 countries you've served, and about 600 graduates. So
Make a
more or less.
correction. The graduates, we have approximately 600 candidates. We call them candidates, not
Candidates.
students,
Candidates,
because we're not an institution. We don't.
Okay.
We're not. So they're not students. They are professional nurses. So they are candidates because they are trying to get their licensure. So they are candidates. So we have a total of 600 in the database. Out of the 600, we have 80 has completed the RN licensure.
Okay.
So we still have a long way to go. We have a whole bulk of the 600 still in the pipeline.
So it's sometimes it's a long process.
It's
a
a long
very long
process.
process.
So that's why.
So-
And currently we have a barriers paper that has been submitted. looking at, and what organization did we submit that to again?
To
I'm so sorry.
ICER?
To
ICER,
yes.
Illinois Commission for
Yes.
Immigrant and Refugee Rights.
Thank you,
Yes.
thank you. And
Led by Mary Leibold.
And Mary has, been working on that for quite some time
Quite some time.
to really look at some of the barriers. And as we all know, some of those are, the language, of course. That's one of the things. Elsie does classes with our students that are candidates.
Yeah, our candidates.
Right. To be able to help them feel comfortable with conversational English. And, do you want to speak a little bit, Elsie, to some of those things
Well,
that
the thing
help
is,
our
when I
students?
first started in 2007, I kind of identified that there were a lot of barriers, and we couldn't identify them truly because we were the administrators. So I conducted a survey among the candidates, and out of the survey, we had a substantial amount of responses from that survey, and out of that survey, we came out with probably 12 different barriers to getting the licensure, and that's what this paper is all about.
Okay,
Is
barriers, you mean as far as the institutional barriers? That
There's very different kind of barriers.
Right.
It varies from difficulty getting the state to understand the state requirements to getting their papers from their
From the
original
countries.
countries to English to financial to family.
Yeah.
I mean, there's various 12 different
Yeah.
kind of barriers.
I think when you look at barriers and when we see barriers in the Latino community, you can see that they're very similar. The barriers of the internationally educated nurse are the barriers of the nurses today and the students. Socioeconomic, English, racism, or just the fact that doors closed and they're unsure how to maneuver the educational system in the country, whether they were here as a small child or they were even born here, sometimes of immigrant parents. And we have different cultures and we're trying to assimilate, but still acculturate and still sort of keep values. And it's just difficult altogether. So the IEN nurses, these internationally educated nurses, are taking just as long as our students take, and our students
or
that are born
candidates,
here,
or students.
candidates, those candidates take just as long as students that are born and raised here.
Okay.
All the barriers are very similar. If you identify a dozen barriers, you're going to hear socioeconomic, infrastructures that don't support bilingualism, biculturalism development, students that are being told just different things. So
you've identified all these barriers. Elsie, you wanted to add something else?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we have tried to work with those barriers, but of course, there's many of them are institutional barriers. So it's harder to break into. We could help a candidate by giving a scholarship or encourage them to continue in the program, but sometimes they have to face the institutional, which is, how do they get Mexico, University of the Jalisco to release their paper? How do we do that? Because we're in Chicago. So they have those kind of barriers that we
And they have friends of theirs, trying to get their records.
Yes.
They use every kind of
Every
network
avenue.
possible. And
sometimes their facilities are closed, or their facility says that the education that we're requiring doesn't equal, or theirs doesn't equal a certain class that the educators are trying to clip out.
Right.
So it's
We
a
have-
lot of challenges. They could take up to 36 months just to
I have a girl
Get
right
through
now
it.
from China who had to go back and take a course that wasn't in her classwork. And so she's missing that class. So she's
So she
going
had to go
take,
to school, back
right,
to
so
school
she
here.
had to go to school here to a community college to take psychiatric nursing, so that she will be able to have all of the requirements for here in America. So there's some things that need to be tweaked. There's some things that they have to do. Some of it is really just, I don't know, it's frustrating for the students, because I had one student tell me at our dinner that she was having problems with they sent her back her nursing grades and said, you need to have these grades on one sheet of paper.
Wow. It could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
it's something as insignificant as that,
Right,
really.
Yeah.
but
Wow.
it delays the
just
process
delays.
because you get the mail and it takes so long, and it's really, really difficult. Really difficult.
But take me to, Elsie, you're part of the organization, although you weren't educated abroad, but you've worked through some of the courses offered at
Right.
consortium?
Actually, I'm the program director, so we have created many courses to help them.
So take me through. Let's say I'm coming like from China or somewhere else, and I want to work here. I want to serve my community. Take me through that process. Although it's going to be different for every person, right?
Right, it's different for every person. First of all, we are a non-for-profit organization. We don't require a fee for them to register or to enroll into the organization. So it's all in kind.
Wow.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is we kind of give them an assessment where their English is at, because they have to take a TOEFL, which is a test to test their English proficiency. And it's an extremely difficult exam because it's meant for academic. It's meant for people that are going into university, so it's all about speaking, writing, and things like that. And it's difficult for them because, for example, I take Mexico because I know the way they teach on how to write is not the same as how to write in the United States. The essay writing in Mexico, they want you to, say what you know. And what here is very technical. You have to do introduction,
Answer the
So
questions.
you have to retrain their thought process and how to write and how to do this. So we assess their English. So, many of them come from level 1 to level 8. Level 8 means the last course in the ESL level where they could actually take an English college level. So basically this is the level where we think that they're at, where they could take the TOEFL. So a lot of them either recently immigrated or do not have the English proficiency. So we refer them to English ESL courses. And usually we refer them not in the community, because there's a lot of English second language in the community, at the churches, at the schools. That's not the level that they really need to have. So we usually refer them to UNAM, to U of I, to UIC, and to different community colleges that really will train them. That's the main barrier. That's the main barrier, identifying the English level. Then the second step is we go through them, we advise. Part of our program is advising. So we advise them. We advise them on how to become a nurse. What are the requirements of the state? And so on and so forth.
And the mentoring piece, I think, is so very important.
Tell me about that.
It was so compelling to me the other evening. One of our nurses who came from French Canada, she got up at the podium and she said, "I left my family, I left my country to come here." And she said, and I had no support. I had nobody to help me. And she felt that the mentoring and the embracing of, fellow sister nurses, really made all the difference.
Yeah, in the same social economic status.
Exactly.
The Canadian nurse, she was amazing.
Yes.
Oh,
And they all
just
have such a
touched your
strong
heart.
love of their profession. And so their desire to be nurses here in America is just so compelling and so wonderful. Our lady who just became a registered nurse, who is from Cameroon, she just went through all kinds of obstacles. She's planning on writing a book, and I'm going to help her, I'm telling you, because she needs to. And she went through all of these barriers, and when she first came here, she could read English, but she couldn't speak English very well. And so she said she would get people who would make fun of her. That she would, have all these barriers to, not really having people be so nice sometimes to her.
Right.
And she just said, "I am a nurse. I want to be a nurse." And our mantra for the students is,
Sí se puede.
"You can do
You can
this."
do this. You can do this.
And so we constantly are allowing them the opportunity to come to us as individuals, come to us as a team. You know, just where are you at? What are you doing? What's the barrier now? What can we help you with at this point? Because it changes from week to week, and it changes from month to month.
That could be frustrating.
Yes.
Yes, very much so, very much. Because, you know, is it getting the TOEFL? Is it getting
Your
into,
ESL,
you know,
and
your,
is it
yes,
medical
GFS and
terminology? Yes.
NF, getting their information from the countries, you know, all of this. It can be very overwhelming if they're trying to do that on their own.
Another problem that basically I identified, you know, because when you speak another language, especially foreign languages, you kind of like, you could understand, you could put yourself in their shoes. So one of the things that they had, a lot of them, a lot of the candidates, they could understand and speak English, but they're afraid. They feel that they're, when they speak up, it will not come out okay, you know. And so,
They
so
said
they
that-
were
they said that
reluctant.
Thursday.
Right, they are reluctant to express themselves. But when I identified that, and I said, you know, I told Mary Liebold, which is the executive director, I said, you know what, we need to create a course, not an English, not English second of language or ESL, but English conversation in nursing, where you bring them passion, you bring them, and then you allow them to speak. And so we do provide, I did create the course, we do provide this course. And what it does is, it's not so much doing the grammatical, it's about having them speak in front of the class, having them with their accents, and emphasizes accent is not an issue.
Right.
It doesn't, because
That's what I
Take
think
pride
people are
in it,
afraid
take
of, right?
pride.
I mean,
it.
like, I grew up in New York, I still keep my accent. You know, I come to Chicago,
New York accent.
and I'm like, you know, where you from? Okay, I have an accent.
How you doing?
But so it doesn't matter your accent. It doesn't matter.
No.
It's
But accent
Take
is
pride in
simply
it.
that.
Take pride in it.
it's simply that you're never going to remove the accent, but have the confidence. It's the lack of confidence that they have, the lack of confidence to express themselves and to talk. So this particular course runs from 8 weeks to 12 weeks we have offered, and it had, I'm telling you, very successful. Those who have attended this course, the next time they come around, they're speaking, they're engaging, they have their confidence back. They just needed to hear that.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That's
then
what we saw on Friday when they graduated.
And they
I
got
call
up
it
there,
really-
didn't they? And
They
just-
were amazing. You had amazing candidates. They were from
I'm so proud of
all
them.
prouds.
Yeah.
Oh, they were fantastic with their accents, with their speech, with their confidence, and they were able to be from Canada, from Venezuela, from Chile, from Puerto Rico, from China. They were amazing, and that's because of the program that the Chicago Bilingual Nurse Consortium does. It's a case management approach. So the few instructors that are dedicated to instruct, and it's still a small group. As Elsie says, it's a small group, but it's a lot of work for a very small group of nurses.
Wow.
But we believe it's a
our
purpose.
mission.
It's the mission. It's needed. Whether it's going to be 80 people in another decade, it's still 80 people that made it in this country from an internationally educated level and are going to make a difference in giving the healthcare needs that needs to be given.
And I
And we're
think
proud because it's nurses,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course.
And you can tell by how we're not stopping talking, right?
Which is fine with me. You are the experts, so you're out there in the field. You're
love it.
getting your hands dirty,
Yeah.
figuratively. You know,
Yeah.
working and helping these individuals overcome these barriers, get through them, and get out there and working.
Because when Elsie takes them through the English is conversational, and then they get into, I do the teaching for the NCLEX course, which is preparation for taking the state board exam here and passing in Chicago, in Illinois. And so we kind of link into what you were saying with, you know, people's accents and with their ability to speak in front of a group by whenever we do questions, I have the students read the questions. I have them get up and make a presentation. you know, we want to hear how are they, you know, speaking, and they'll say, did I say that right? You know, because there, within the classroom framework, that's the place where you can make the mistakes.
There's comfort and
right, there's the
familiarity.
nurturing there that we provide for them to be able to say, you know, say it this way. Say, you know, we did a lot of that last night. You know, I mean, I was telling people how to, you know, say different medical terminology, a little different than, you know, maybe what they learned from their own home country.
Okay. Well, wow, this is, you're doing amazing work, and there's so much information you can share. And obviously people can go to your website, send you an email, make a call if they want more information. We're just have a couple minutes left, or actually less than a couple minutes. What's, very briefly, your vision, very briefly, going toward the future for the consortium?
Well, Juan, what I would like to do is,
Briefly, please.
okay, I would like to just make sure that our consortium continues to help as many people as we possibly can. And if you are an internationally educated nurse out there, we want you. We want you to call us, because it's really critical that you call us and we get you on board with us. And also, we want to make sure that we have funds to be able to continue our organizations. So please, if you are interested in joining our initiative, please, 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 we are always looking for donors.
Hi. What I need the public to hear is that the organization have helped them pass successfully. Our passing rate is close to 90%. Whereas if they were to do it by themselves, it's less than 50%. So they have a better chance to join us, and we do nurture, we do understand, we do the support. And so the vision is that it is the only organization in the Midwest. So we need to keep it viable.
Okay, great.
Yep,
Susana.
absolutely. I think it's about funding. It's about finding the resources, and it's about finding a home. So if you're an internationally educated nurse, or if you're a nurse with English as a second language, and you're looking for resources and you want to give us a call, this Chicago Bilingual Nurse Consortium.org will also lead you to the Illinois Hispanic Nurses Association, which will lead you to the National Association of Hispanic Nurses. And the resources are there, and we want to help.
Okay, great. Well, thanks to you all for coming out, and I hope to see you again soon. And congratulations on all you're doing.
Thank you.
Gracias.
And to you, thank you for joining us. Perspectivas Latinas is a community service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to work with CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune in to Perspectivas Latinas for local issues and concerns every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Thank you for joining us.